What's going on, traders? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is April 5th, 2021. Hope you all had an awesome Easter weekend and, got some rest in, got some time away from the screens in, some family time, all that good stuff. But we are back into the trading week. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy this content, I'll keep making it for you. Today we're going to talk about the price action in the indices. We will go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors as we always do. We'll take a look at some of my trades for the day and how I'm thinking about the markets in the next, coming weeks. And we'll also wrap up some options order flow. But before we do that, quick risk disclaimer, nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, let's jump right into it. So we had a super bullish day of price action. So if we pull up our headline indices, we closed out with the S&P 500 up 1.44%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ finish up 2%, big winner for the day. We had the IWM small caps, which were our loser, up 0.55%, and we had the Dow Jones finish up 1.13%. So taking a look here, these are our ES futures, and you can see, we consolidated for a couple days here right around the highs, and then we got our bullish breakout. So this has been 1, 2, 3 candles, just reaching for the stars here. You can see we're above this monthly value area. We're above all the key moving averages, but we are starting to get a little bit extended, actually. And I'll talk about that shortly. Really bullish price action led by the tech names today. We'll go through those shortly as well. But yeah, it is blue skies ahead. We have no overhead resistance. So now at this point, we're in full-on price discovery mode. So really, if you're thinking about like pullbacks, anything like that, the only reference point that we really have is this 5-day exponential moving average at about 4,032. And then, of course, we have the monthly value area high, which is much lower, at around 3970. If we pull up our NASDAQ QQQ, so NASDAQ is the comeback kid. So if we look here, NASDAQ had a really nasty correction over, maybe about like a month-long period where it was just brutal. We had this sell-off, then we had the second leg lower. We ended up basing for, a few weeks over here and really just chopping around. But we did end up getting that breakout to the upside. So you can see here, today we did take out an upside virgin point of control, which is this red line at around 13,600 on the NASDAQ. This one as well has had a really nice 3-day move. At this point, maybe it's a little bit extended. But at this point, the NASDAQ still has a bit more ground to cover if it wants to, retake those prior all-time highs. But yeah, looking pretty bullish above the monthly value area and all those key moving averages. If we look at IWM, you can see IWM is still stuck inside of this monthly value area. IWM was leading us for the entire run post-election. And now you can see, over the past week or two, the tables have kind of turned, and now the IWM and those small caps, they're lagging a little bit now. So it's kind of interesting. If we pull up our Dow Jones, you can see Dow Jones not quite as extended as some of these other indices. I'll actually pull up the Dow futures. And you can see here, Dow Jones, we're riding that 5-day exponential moving average higher. Dow Jones, really the first, or I guess this is the second day of a nice clean breakout above this monthly value area high. So let's dig into our heat map over here from FinViz. And you can see really nice bullish day of price action. This was definitely like, really nice. We had that 3-day weekend, Monday morning auto gap, and you can see the Megacaps really took off. We had Microsoft up 2.77%. We had Google with a really nice day up over 4%. Amazon, Tesla, really like all these names. Consumer defensives were very strong. Really, the major laggard today was energy. So it was kind of odd that it was like, everything else was very bullish, but then throughout the day it was like, oh, energy is down, crude oil is down, all that stuff. But yeah, that was the main sector that was lagging. Other than that, all these large cap companies, did pretty well. We had some nice breadth. In terms of our sectors, you can see our top 3 sectors in terms of momentum now are semiconductors, blockchain, and home builders. You can see nice finishes for all those. The blockchain ETF closed up 3.37%. If we look at our laggards, it really was energy. So we had the solar energy ETF closed down 2.78%. And then we also had the XLE ETF closed down 2.39%. Yeah, other than that, broad strength across the board for the most part. If we look at our style factors, you can see here now at the top of our list, we have the growth style factor, which was previously out of favor, closed at 1.73%. We had defensives up 1.44%. Really the laggards for today, we had high beta lagging, only up 0.23%. And then you can see here, other laggard was the cyclicals, up 0.48%. So yeah, at this point, a lot of that recovery trade, in my opinion, definitely priced in. Really nice recovery. A lot of these beaten down areas from COVID, we've had that rebalancing and that readjustment. So yeah, you can see they're taking a little bit of a break here. And yeah, before we pull up my trades, just want to pull up this as well, because this kind of like sets the stage for me reducing a lot of risk here. So you can see this is, this is actually Facebook. So one thing that I noticed today is, for me, like I'm primarily a trend trader. So I always want to be, trading with the trend. But one thing that I try to do as well is just be cognizant of, are we overextended to the upside or the downside? And you can see here on this chart, this is TradingView. I have my Bollinger Bands on my chart. These white bands are the 2 standard deviation marks from this 20-day moving average, and the red bands are actually 3 standard deviations to the upside. We got this really nice move in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, but now you can see, we are almost, 3 standard deviations extended to the upside of this 20-day moving average. And you can see that historically when that happens, there's typically either a pullback or a consolidation period. So you can see, we hit it, this was back in November, hit it, sold off, consolidated for a bit before moving higher. You can see here back in September when we hit, very close to that mark, we actually had a bit of a sell-off. And you'll notice that pattern. So for me, like, I have my long-term trend portfolio that's available for all Pristine Capital members. So that's like, all right, I'm going to have my market exposure. But in terms of my trading, I just want to make sure that when I'm taking these trades and really like getting aggressive, I have the odds, like in my favor. So like for me today, I was looking at this and I was like, this is awesome that the market is so bullish right now, but I can't really add a bunch of risk, with a clean conscience here, because this is the sort of thing where if I were to add a bunch of risk and then the market, pulls back and I put on all these calls and they, really sell off, I would be like, wow, that was such a rookie mistake. We were so extended. So we'll have to see. It's kind of funny though, because typically, I talked about this in the room, almost every time we get extended, 3 standard deviations to the downside, it's a great buying opportunity, but that's typically when nobody really wants to buy. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, be careful out there. You can see all these other instances where we've hit that 3 standard deviation mark. And then typically on the flip side, when we get 3 standard deviations to the upside, that's when it's a high percentage selling opportunity. But that's a lot of times when everyone wants to buy and add to risk. So we'll see. I took some exposure off today. And you can see if we pull up my trades here. So for some options trades, I closed out half of my Boyd 60 strike June 18th calls for $6.80. I'd paid $6.10 for those. Boyd still looks like it could continue higher. But again, at this level of extension, I want to make sure I'm not too crazy with, call options or anything like that. Yeah, I took off half the trade. We'll see if we can get that continuation to the upside in Boyd Gaming. If we take a look here. So I had Boyd. What else do we have for today? Oh yeah, TME is one where I just want to entered it for a bounce. Ended up stopping out of this one, especially too when the market's extended. One thing is I want to limit my exposure to calls, but if a stock is not working when the market is raging higher, I want to cut that exposure out. So I stopped out for 155. I had paid 285 for these. And I just said the stock isn't working while the rest of the market is strong. So I was like, all right, lop that out of the portfolio. Taiwan Semi. This is another one where just close this out for prudence. So I had paid 815. Close this out for 855. Taiwan Semi, I still think this one could be a strong setup. But it might just need a couple days of moving sideways. So we'll see. Taiwan Semi had a really powerful move. And yeah, I wouldn't mind at all if we got a couple sideways days and re-enter this one, maybe using common stock or maybe some longer term calls. Let's close that one out for a nice gain. Did some stock trading as well. But again, I tried to make sure, don't do it. Don't launch yourself into a bunch of new positions. So Palantir, I tried this one in pre-market, ended up scratching it. Especially for a day like today, I was like, I'm not going to put anything on and then take it home as a loser. So yeah, I scratched out of that. Ebon, I made an attempt at that one in the pre-market session. They announced they're going to be launching a cryptocurrency exchange. I stopped out of that one very quickly, at 9:38 in the morning. I was like, I don't like the price action here. And Digital Turbine, I closed out of this one for a small winner. Again, just for prudence. Just to take some chips off the table. That way, if we get some sort of consolidation or pullback, I'm in a good position to really add some exposure. Yeah, Digital Turbine is another one. Maybe this one just needs a couple more days. We'll have to see. But yeah, Digital Turbine, it's had a nice consolidation period for about 2 months at this point. What I'm starting to like about this setup, I have this one in the trend portfolio as well, is you can see here, all these key moving averages, they're starting to coil around each other. So we have the 5-day EMA above the 20-day simple moving average, which is above the 50-day simple moving average. And you can see a lot of times when the short-term moving averages get really overextended, so you can see the 20-day is really far off from the 50-day. A lot of times, that asset does need to sort of consolidate the gains for a while. Now we've had that consolidation, so we'll have to see if we can get a breakout above value here. But for now, I was like, I'm just going to take this exposure off and see what the river brings. So let's pull up our cheddar flow and we'll take a look at some options order flow. So this is another thing with these, I saw this and I was like, oh man. So with these FANG names, they've had spectacular moves. This has been awesome. I was participating in Facebook a bit. I have a bunch of these names in the trend portfolio as well. Yeah, you can see a lot of these calls are coming in now for these FANG names. Like you can see Q's calls, Microsoft, Apple was coming up a lot, Netflix, Facebook. And I just noticed the flow is getting super bullish now, after the really nice move. So that's another thing where I've been doing this long enough to be like, what, I'm going to, just be a little bit more patient here. So yeah, you can see the Apple flow, Tesla as well. It was definitely a good sign to see Tesla moving up nicely today. But Tesla as well, put in a red candle. So we'll have to see what Tesla does. Maybe this is another one that just consolidates. But, not like a raging green light here either. And then if we look here, you can see Boeing caught some flow. This is very short term. It's for April 9th. So let's see. Somebody's looking for a quick move in Boeing. Yeah, this one is grinding higher. It's above the 20-day moving average. See, maybe they're looking for some new highs, something of that nature. But yeah, I'm very curious when the put to call ratio comes out tonight. This was another thing I was just thinking about throughout the day. I was like, all this order flow is coming in bullish now after the move. Yeah, you can see it looks like some put buyers came in after the close today. But yeah, I'm interested to see what that looks like. Because typically it's almost like a cycle where, market starts going up. Everyone starts loading up on calls versus puts. Eventually it gets to a point of complacency. Market sells off. Everyone gets fearful. They start buying calls. They start buying puts. They buy more puts. Then there's like a wall of worry. You climb over it. And then, this cycle sort of keeps repeating and repeating, rolling on and on. So I want to see if this put to call ratio comes out and it's just like super complacent. But that's why I was like, you know what? I'll take a couple off here and just kind of reassess. So for me, it was like, this Monday is pretty awesome. I'm just going to take the gift and just kind of like keep moving along my way. So we'll see what the price action brings for tomorrow. With that being said, that about wraps up this market recap video. Hope you all had an awesome trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow.